Hey guys, Analogman here for a different kind of video for once. I actually really wanted to talk about the possible ban list that will be coming up this coming week on the 17th, as they announced, Bandai announced on their Twitter and various other things. Basically, it's a new restricted list, which we haven't gotten for a few months, honestly. So, I kind of want to see what they'll do. On the screen, you'll see that these are the possible things that I'm honestly predicting that they're going to hit in the list. So I wanted to discuss all these choices and basically why they might get hit or, restricted to one or two or whatever. Some of them, honestly, are very obvious, like Apocalymon, his effect just being the most broken thing in existence. Metal Guru, just because it actually becomes even stronger than it used to be. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's go through this just slowly with each one. So let's actually start with Shine Greymon, or as a lot of people have nicknamed the deck, Marcus Punch. This deck is honestly really busted beyond belief. With the fact that um, Marcus itself, the BT12 one was already fine in itself, but with the addition of the BT13 Marcus and the new Shine support alongside that, it actually propelled this deck to almost tier zero, because there are counters to this deck that actually basically wall it into the ground to the point where it can't do anything. But it still made a huge splash, and the fact that a lot of recent regionals, like the top eights, maybe top tens, have all been mostly dominated by this and maybe like one or two other decks. So this deck, honestly, I'm predicting it to honestly be hit at least, because with also the fact that a lot of the Ultimate Cups that have been going on that have modified rule sets, specifically monocolors, or specifically just in general, just like limits specifically, they actually hit the BT12 Marcus to 1, because I think they realized honestly that this card is just really busted, because it actually reminds me a lot of the Greymon X from BT9, I believe, or was that BT11? Yeah, I think it was BT11 or whatever. But it's oh no, my bad. So it was the BT11 Greymon X. It's been a while. But yeah, that card basically gave Greymon the ability to make like almost free evos sometimes, in conjunction with other effects that Greymon had at that time. And with how Marcus works, just giving a free evo that just requires it to suspend is genuinely really busted, because it also allows the deck to swarm and play more Marcuses, which do allow it to basically keep going during that turn. And the fact that the Marcuses go into security if you have a Rise Greymon out makes it even more broken, because it just lets you recover while also doing that and making it harder for your opponent to basically take you out, basically. Along with that, a lot of the Shine support basically gave a ton of DP reduction, and some of the cards actually made the deck really, just the fact that it could just kill almost anything. I actually have a friend at my locals. Shout out to him if you're watching. He actually runs one of the old like BT3 Shine Greymons or whatever, like the original Shine Gray, the yellow one. He uses that to basically like one hit tap a lot of big targets that like Belfemon, or I don't know, like Black Greymon X or something. He can just one tap them by just suspending all his tamers at once, which will basically instant kill it regardless. But yeah, no, this deck has way too much power, and it just genuinely, like, I can't see it hitting anything in the deck, because a lot of it can just be killed. There's literally zero protection in that deck, aside from it basically being there to protect Marcus. So I don't think they're gonna hit any of those cards specifically. They might maybe hit the Greymon that lets you look at your security and heal, but even then, it's not really that great, because if you don't have a tamer, you can't really use it in that context. I feel like the thing that they will be hitting will be the BT12 Marcus, because every other card basically is built around summoning him nonstop. And if you don't have this one to give you the free evolution, you basically have to pass your turn and kind of allow your opponent to take out your Rise at that point, which is what they don't want. And that's why people run 4 Marcuses or 4 of both, basically. Along with that, the new BT13 one, giving 1 memory when suspended and minus 3,000 and setting your memory, is a bit too powerful. But we also have another tamer that's also like that in the form of like Analogman, but his is completely different. But anyway, I honestly feel the deck just needs that one specific hit, because if it did not have this Marcus, the deck would be a little bit more manageable to deal with in basically the meta matchup. But aside from that, yeah, that's basically all I can really think about for Shine. The second deck that I'm thinking that might potentially get a hit, honestly, will be Bloomlord, because Bloomlord has a very good matchup against a lot of the decks. And it's actually doing really well, because almost in every regional, you'll see like at least 1 or 2 Bloomlords in like the top 10. Because the fact that it can just gain memory so easily, it has a way to just do multiple checks. It has a way to get rid of stuff by bottom decking it. It has ways to suspend Tamers and Digimon in the form of Quartz. So it has a lot of like power behind it, and I feel that one of the cards in the deck will get hit. I'm not sure what it will be. My prediction is that possibly Bloomlord himself might get hit, because the fact that he allows you to gain memory, unsuspend, gain piercing, and security attack +1 is really strong. But at the same time, they might even honestly just hit Quartz, because Bandai really does not like green in general, and giving them a green level 7 that can just gain memory and suspend stuff continuously and keep it suspended is pretty strong. So I'm genuinely not sure what they might hit in this deck, but I know they'll do it because they really genuinely don't like green for some reason. I think it's because they have PTSD from the first set, where they just allowed it free reign with like 4 hidden potentials and like all the Digisorption it could have, and it just went wild and just like went tier 0. So I think they just don't ever want green to just hit tier 1. They don't even want it to be in tier 1. They want it to be below that, because that way it doesn't get out of hand. So I feel they're gonna do something to green. Honestly, they might honestly just hit the Digisorption Cherrymon just for shits and giggles. Honestly, I feel, because they just don't want it to succeed sometimes. Especially the fact that in the next set in BT14, it is getting a new level 6 that can basically become fully immune to everything, just like Belfemon Sleep Mode. So I think they might preemptively hit it just to kind of nerf the deck a little bit. So yeah, my third idea for a hit will be something from Mirage. Specifically, I'm thinking it might be the level 6, because the fact that it allows you to gain memory for every 4 cards in your opponent's hand, and it also bounces 1 card from their stack, is pretty annoying. And the fact is that if you combo that properly, you can potentially just knock out their whole security in 1 turn and still be at like 1 or 2 memory to go into Mirage Burst mode. And I've seen this deck go off really hard, and it just instantly kills you. If you're not playing a deck like Machine Dramon that can like wall him, you basically lose. And that is honestly proven in a lot of the tournaments or whatever that have been continuing since its release. It's still around in BT15, and that's pretty crazy. A deck coming out like 2-3 sets ago usually gets power crept at some point, but this one has been kind of slightly flying under the radar, because people have been looking more at Shine and every other deck that has been coming out. So this has just kind of been skating underneath, and the fact that it's been around that long, especially in the OCG, is kind of crazy, because usually something will beat it, but so far it's just like once it goes off and you can't stop it, you basically lose the match. And and that's probably because of that it's been topping consistently since its release. So I think it might be getting a hit. Specifically, I'm thinking the level 6 from BT11, because it just does so much for the deck specifically, and it is your main way of gaining memory and basically setting yourself up for basically the win. So most likely they'll be hitting that. For the fourth deck that I think that they might potentially hit, I really honestly don't want them to hit this deck personally, because it is my main deck, and that's in the form of Machine Dramon. I don't know if they might, because I'm just going off of the Ultimate Cup list, because in Ultimate Cup, they have Analogman at 1, but I think that's mainly because of Ultimate Cup being it's a modified rule set, of course. So you basically are playing in a sort of like a bubble, essentially. And in that bubble, you're basically playing monocolors, and the only deck in that kind of situation is Machine Dramon, because it's just you can literally just run all black in that specifically, and you will basically still be able to do the same exact plays even with one Analog Man, because apparently this deck still won a bunch of Evo Cups regardless, even without having to basically do anything, which is really crazy. Like, all it did was basically just turn into Greymon. But at the same time, as I mentioned, it's in a bubble. So in the actual meta, not really. There are a lot of decks that can counter this. Bloomlord can do it. Occasionally Shine can do it, but not all the time. I say it's more like a 70-30, maybe an 80-20 with Shine, because of the DP immunity, the DP reduction immunity specifically. Um, Royal Knights can get past Machine Dramon. Blue Flare, if they're running a bunch of Soul Rise like me and my friend do, yeah, it's getting source stripped. Basically, any deck that can strip sources really hurts Machine Dramon. And we know that Grace Novamon is coming on EX04, so yeah, it's not going to be a fun time for Machine Dramon either. So I feel like this deck, maybe I'm giving it like a 50-50 chance if they really want to be like that and basically forcing you to buy the new support. Maybe that might be their idea, but I still kind of doubt it, because Machine Dramon matches up really well against very specific decks, but it still has a lot of counters in the meta, sadly. But that's just what I see, because I've been playing with this deck since BT12, and so far the only things that can genuinely hurt it really bad would be Hunters and Bloomlord, and then Royal Knights. And those three decks are pretty strong currently, so I feel like they're basically, yeah, Machine might not even get touched, especially if they want to sell BT15, because if people see that hit, they're going to be like, oh, why should I even invest in this set? And there are a lot of Machine players, so it feels like they might just hold off on it until maybe BT15 before they throw down another emergency ban list or something. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. For like the fifth deck that I'm thinking that they genuinely will hit is Belfemon, because this deck, alongside Shine and Bloom and Mirage, have been consistently topping since its release. And the fact that Sleep Mode is basically fully immune to every effect is actually broken, and the fact that it can block at least one attack is pretty strong, honestly. Because think about it, you can just set up this guy over and over and over with Gift of Darkness, or if you recover it with like the matte Purple Tamer from back like BT from the starter deck. So you're basically able to just completely recur this until you run out of rage modes. But even then, you can just delete your Belfemon and then just do it again. So I feel that this deck might honestly get hit, because it's still topping even in BT15. It's still around. It's just not as prevalent as it was in BT13. I'm thinking they might honestly hit sleep mode to maybe 2. I'm thinking 2, because that way the deck can still do its thing without being fully crippled at 1. Because at 1, you basically can't do anything. You have to basically get the Gift of Darkness option card to be able to replay that, and that just bricks you in the end. So I feel they might just end up putting it at 2, just so that Belfemon still kind of has a chance to fight. But then it's like, it's a little bit slowed down, and it forces basically Belfemon players to kind of think outside of the box, aside from just making sleep mode over and over and over. And yeah, that's honestly the only thing I can really think of for it. Maybe the Gizu line might get hit, but I doubt that, because or maybe they might, honestly, because they hit scatter mode. So I wouldn't be surprised if they hit Gizu, because the Gizu engine is being used in almost every single purple deck, and they really don't like purple having good stuff either, just like green. So they might honestly hit that engine too, just to make sure everything's even. But yeah, for the sixth deck we are looking at Apocalymon, which isn't technically out yet, but the restricted list did mention that it will go into effect for both English and Japanese. So I'm thinking they might honestly hit this deck somehow. For those that don't know what Apocalymon does yet, this card is basically insane, and I don't know who designed this card, but from what I've heard, like, or what I'm assuming, I don't think they genuinely tested this card or at all to make sure that it was actually not broken. Because, okay, so the effect is that you can take 3 Dark Master cards from your trash, equip it underneath, and it reduces the cost basically down all the way to 3 cost. So for each one, it reduces it by a certain amount of cost. Like, let me just show you here. So when this card would be played, by placing up to 3 cards with Dart Master trait and different names, you can reduce it by 4. So if you place 3, you're reducing it by 12, making a 3 cost level 7, which is pretty broken already. But at the end of your turn, once per turn, you can just equip any level 6. It doesn't specify if it's a Dart Master. It doesn't specify any typing, nothing. You can literally put any level 6 that has an on-play effect underneath it, and it will trigger that on-play effect. And because of that, you can put Craniumon from BT13, which makes Apocalymon fully immune. And the Dart Masters also give it Retaliation, Blocker, and Reboot. So if you already swung with it somehow, I don't know how you did it, but you basically just get to do that. And then at the same time, at the end of that effect, you also get to trash the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck for each level 6 underneath. So you're basically guaranteed an 8-card mill once this thing drops. And then next turn, if it survives, you're guaranteed a 10-card drop. And that's not even assuming that you dropped another one already onto the board. So you're basically gaining an extra 18 mil if you play a second one. And by turn 4, you basically mill out your opponent completely. So it's actually honestly really broken. Anyway, as I was saying, basically this card is broken beyond belief because you can do so many things, as you know from the beginning of the card game, basically, or of the the recent card game that we're playing now. There are a lot of level 6s that have on plays. Like the build I have for this deck can make him immune, make it so your opponent can't evolve with their unsuspended Digimon, popping everything on the board and making it so they can't play anything lower than 5,000 DP, I think. You can play Magnadramon to heal yourself. You can play Bagramon to tuck a Digimon underneath another one. There's a ton of possibilities. You can even run the Magnadramon from, or was it Magnadramon? Yeah. You can run that to do from the, it's the 4 Great Dragons. Yeah, you can run that one to do minus security check too. There's so many things that you can do, and that's what makes this card so broken, because you can just do it for cheap too. And you basically run, of course, the purple engine underneath it to basically just discard all those cards and set up, because it equips specifically from the trash, as you can see from here. It's really powerful just how it works, and I don't know why they didn't see a problem with this card. And most likely what I'm predicting is that instead of actually just outright restricting the card to 1 or 2, or even just restricting it completely or banning it, I'm thinking what's going to happen is that they're going to errata it, where it specifically says that it can only equip Dart Masters. But at the same time, then it kind of equalizes it, because then it forces them to basically run 4 copies of each Dart Master. But at the same time, you can also run all the old Dart Masters as well, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, some of them don't have the trait for Dart Master, like Machine Dramon, so it kind of makes it moot. So you kind of have to run 4 of the new ones. So that's basically just how it might be. Honestly, I'm really hoping they don't just outright kill the deck. They just errata it so that it forces them to only be specific to Dart Masters. But even then, the Dart Masters are already really broken beyond belief by this point. You have Machine Dramon doing D-Digivolve by 2. You have Piedmon killing and unsuspended. You have Puppetmon suspending something and making it so it can't unsuspend. So you already have a pretty decent, like, tier 1.5 deck, even without the other level 6s. And of course, running purple, either the normal purple engine or running the purple Garuru engine to basically make it go faster and check at the same time. So yeah, this deck, I'm not even gonna question it. They will hit this deck no matter what, because it is making very big waves in Japan and just Asia in general. So there's no way they're not gonna hit it. And if they really don't, then they're genuinely not doing their jobs at looking at the actual cards that they're releasing. Then for the last thing we're gonna look at, we're looking at Metal Garurumon, because as of recording, the new starter deck has just been released. And yeah, that starter deck basically breaks Garuru a little bit, because now they can just do the same thing they did before, but at the same time drawing almost basically double the amount of cards that it was able to do before in blue. With the new purple engine, you basically can draw at least 6 cards in total if you do it correctly. And at the same time, if you run analog youth in it, you basically end up getting to gain memory and do it again next turn. Along with that, we already know that we're getting support in EX05 Animal Coliseum, where we basically get a new line of the Gabu X, the Garuru X, and the Wereguru X that basically are dual colored purple blue. So now you don't have to worry about which memory boost you're going to run, because no matter what, you're going to hit it. But each one of those cards allows you to draw and gain a memory in some capacity and protect yourself when attacking. So you end up getting both swings, and you can evolve into the Ace, and you can evolve into the Metal Guru from the previous sets. So along with that, also with BT15, we also get a new Warp evolving Metal Guru. Let me bring it up here. This one is basically the exact same as the War Greymon from BT14 that's going to be coming out soon. That one also allows it to warp on top of a Gabumon. If you have a tamer specific with like Matt Ishida or like Tai, basically with the War Greymon. But the difference is that this one has evade, and when digivolving, this one basically suspends 3 of your opponent's Digimon and tamers, and they basically can't suspend until the end of the opponent's turn. So it basically locks 2 things. And of course, it also has another broken effect where all turns once per turn, when this guy suspends, you basically get to unsuspend it. So you're guaranteed 2 hits with that. And if you combo that with the other, the new Wereguru, the purple one, you're basically getting 4 attacks no matter what, and with a way to protect yourself and set it up really early. So I feel with that, Garuru honestly might also get hit too, because as you know, the deck already got hit before because it could do that. So I'm predicting they honestly just might preemptively hit it so that it doesn't get out of hand like how it used to. So I really feel if they don't do that, then this deck is just going to become like the tier 1 deck if they just hit Apocalymon. Because both of the decks are honestly the 2 fastest and strongest decks in that format, because Apocalymon beats everything, but its only counter is Metal Garuru. So they're basically the top 2 decks at the moment. So they have to hit those 2 decks, and if not, it's going to just continue as it is. And from what I've been seeing, a lot of people are kind of like wanting to take a break from it because Apocalymon is just so oppressive, and it basically hard stops you after 4 turns basically because of the milling. So I honestly don't know what Bandai might do. They honestly might just put out like a really lackluster list like they always do, but I'm hoping they really don't do that, because honestly, they really need to do some hits on color specifically. Like Shine, as I said, Shine needs a hit. Blue, just green in general, needs a hit or so. Blue really needs a hit. They just skate by a lot sometimes. Black, honestly, I don't think it's doing enough to do it, so I don't know if they might. They might just hit it just to make sure, but I don't know, honestly. I really hope they don't. Purple, they mainly just need to hit Belfemon. That's it. They just need to hit Belfemon, and then it's fine. Apocalymon, 100%, they have to hit this, and if not, it's gonna fuck up the game once we get it. Once we get the set over here in the TCG. Metal Garuru, they will hit it at some point. I feel like they might just not, but I feel like they should, because it's just so strong. And when a deck is too strong like that, it's going to dominate the format way too much, and we're going to get way too many mirror matches. So I'm hoping they do something about that. Aside from that, that's basically all I can honestly think of for the list. If I think of any more, I might just like post about it, but honestly, like, this is all I can really think of for it. But yeah, as usual, honestly, thanks for watching this video, because I've been wanting to do different kind of videos or different formats basically to kind of like see what people basically want. But I also like to put out different videos, because doing deck profiles all the time kind of gets old sometimes, but at the same time I do like doing them regardless, just showing off new decks and such. But I do want to do something maybe different, and if this becomes successful, I might just do more of these later on. I mean, I already did one. I think I did one on a ban list like way back, but I just decided not to, because we just haven't had one in a long while. But yeah, thanks for watching. As usual, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you thought of the video, and your thoughts on the ban list, honestly, because I honestly don't know what they're going to do this Tuesday of the 17th. I hope they fix some things, but I hope they don't hit Machine Dramon. That's basically my only wish, is just not to hit Machine Dramon. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.